My cloud is full. All right, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome again to another episode of Pop Talk. We are the Pundits of Pugilism. This is episode number 8. We are coming to you in the new year, 2022. We closed out with the Pop Talk Awards, and now we're going to kind of jump in. It's a bit of a kind of slow start to the year, but we have a lot of topics that we will have opportunity to do a little bit of a deep dive into. So let me give the agenda real quick, and then I have a really quick kind of announcement that I want to make. All right, so we're going to talk about Ortiz, looking old, but still able to get the job done against Martin. Sanchez, who in my opinion had a snoozer against a late replacement, Christian Hammer. We are going to also do a reevaluation of the heavyweight landscape following this weekend, which had a plethora of heavyweight fights that did have implications on there. And there's also been some other news that's been outside of the ring that we will deal with. And we will also talk a little bit about the state of NC boxing. As you say, we are, even though a lot of my brethren are spread around, a lot of our kind of home base is North Carolina, and that's where we were able to kind of establish some of our relationships. But before that, I want to say I am Professor Nims. I want to give a shout out to my man with the best name in boxing media, the Casual Ran. You can't forget about my man, Bosston Jarod. Don't forget the S, bosses only.
Peace, peace.
And my man with the philosophical and holistic take to this fight game, Coach Dave. Now, it's funny that you get that, Bart, because as you can see, I'm decked out in my Bulldog stuff. It is polo because, I still got to keep it fresh and everything. And if I kind of flip to the side, you'll see that UGA and everything right there. So, on Monday, my boys are going against Alabama. And, this is the kind of classic David versus Goliath, no pun intended, and stuff like that. But I know that much. I know this is the time. The time that we are going to make, and I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. All right. So, but I'm only betting crypto, my own crypto. And I'm still working out the blockchain, but hit me up on Cash App if anybody wants to put some money on Alabama. But before I say that, so I want to give a shout out to a former Georgia football player from 1999 to from 1995 to 1999 on Walker Trice. He was also an amateur boxer. He passed away actually in 2008. It was during my last tournament out there, and part of my connection was that his coach at the time was my former coach, former Olympic fighter, Ramalis Ellis. He actually passed away from a result of the fight. And this is a Georgia Bulldog. And I want to just, bring it out there and also, give a shout out to him. It's kind of forgotten and stuff like that. This was a real tragedy. But I definitely want to give a shout out to my man Walker Trice and stuff. So go Bulldogs. And let's go ahead and jump into this week's segment. So we have my man Luis Ortiz. So he is, one of the older heavyweights out there. He's 42 years old. Freudian slip. Officially, he's 42 years old. And he took on the guy, Martin, who is a former belt holder. I have a hard time calling him a former champion, but former belt holder. And even though I will say Martin looked determined, he came into the fight 9 pounds less than his last fight. So this was something that he took very seriously. He knew that this was his last opportunity to really kind of be relevant within the heavyweight landscape, and put on one of the best showings I've seen him. I'm not really impressed with him at all. But he knocked down Ortiz twice, once in the first round, another time I think in the fourth round. had Ortiz looking old. Really, neither one of them have very quick, fast combinations, kind of quick twitch, or it wasn't a lot to be said in that area. But Ortiz was able to salvage that fight, and he at least sets himself up for another payday. I would like to see fighters quit one fight too early than one fight too late. I wish that he would not do that. Seeing his daughter just having a hard time watching her father take a modicum of punishment. Charles Martin is not some kind of monster. He is a big guy. If he hits me, I'm gonna be doing the chicken walk. But let's throw it down to Coach Dave. What do you take from this? Do you feel that? And then we can speak on Martin and Ortiz. I'm sure Martin is, he's a younger guy. He's, I believe, 34. Is going to continue on. But what are your thoughts on this fight?
In a nutshell, really about Martin, man. Look, dude, it's a fight. You might got to punch his chance, but honestly, with the current people that's in there, like the old school, be it, Fury, Ruiz, Josh. I just don't see the guy really going anywhere. So honestly, man, I ain't even gonna waste a whole lot of time. I just don't see the guy going anywhere. He could totally straight up prove me wrong. Everybody got his puncher's chance. But I thought, exactly what you said, Cam. You hit it on the head, man. Dude, hey, look, I'm coming in shape. Ortiz ain't no just walk over, and this is my shot. And I think it was a 12-round heavyweight eliminator for whatever reason it's going to. So he took that serious, but he just came up short, man. Ortiz, though, man. All right. So this is the best. This is real talk. He won the fight, stopped the dude. I thought the knockout was fun. It reminded me of the knockout that Alicia Baumgartner put on Terry Harper. But he kind of stopped and was like, "Did he hit me?" Like, yeah, he hit you. So good props on that. But in all honesty, the only best thing I can say about this, I do think Ortiz is getting old. Hope he can prove us wrong. The only one that has not proved wrong, if he got that spirit of daggone George Foreman, then so be it. The main thing that I saw is that it doesn't matter how old you are, that punching power was still there. He still hit that dude, and it stopped him. No different than when Big George Foreman hit Michael Moore and slapped him. You know what I'm saying? So that old man strength might have still kicked in. And in terms of landing and hitting anyone solidly, I think Ortiz still has that power to today's folks. But do he got the feet to get him there? Does he got the stamina to sustain it? I just don't. I think he's about to be a number one primary gatekeeper. I think somebody young is going to, if he stays in the game, I think somebody's young, up and coming, be it the new boogeyman or Jerry Anderson or somebody is about to really put this joke into retirement soon. That's my take, baby.
I think that's great take, Coach. I think that's a perfect kind of segue to throw it over to Bosston Jarod. So it is he was the former boogeyman. That was Ortiz was because of his skill and power. Somebody, man, he was a southpaw, somebody that everybody avoided. They're actually trying to now corral him to the new boogeyman with the title eliminator, which I believe he turned down, which is Hargreaves. Yeah. Hargreaves. Yeah. So Bosston Jarod, what is your take on the fight, and do you think do you see that fight happening?
Nah, he said he got hurt. He said he was injured, and he
got a hand injury.
He is a senior citizen, so it's plausible that he does have a legit injury. But I don't, at this point in his career, having made as much money as he's made fighting Wilder, I don't see the incentive for him from a business standpoint to be in a title eliminator to fight a guy in Usyk that, nobody's clamoring for an Usyk Ortiz fight. So why put yourself in there against a guy that's a tough out? So yeah, no, I don't know. I don't see that fight happening. I see Luis Ortiz hanging around just long enough to collect a few more paydays. And then he's gonna cash his chips in. As far as the fight, you know, I've never been overly impressed by Charles Martin. And that continued with this fight. It wasn't anything. It was kind of tough to watch at times, man. Yeah, I don't have much to say that Dave hasn't already said, man. It was underwhelming for me. So
yeah, I think tough to watch kind of was what it was, you know, I didn't want to see it, particularly when you're going down off of a jab. And he just, I made a comment one time, I'm not going to tell my age, but I said, there's no way that he's younger than me. I looked at Luis Ortiz.
Man, let me jump
go
in.
ahead, Casual Red.
Man, I look at it like totally different than y'all, man. I was actually, entertained. I mean, Ortiz was literally out on his foot. I don't know if y'all guys remember, he got hit and he had to just hold on to the ropes for a little while. You know what I'm saying?
That was scary. Like, yeah, but it wasn't even a hard
him.
hit. Like, he grabbed the ropes, like his legs.
He was getting hit, and it didn't look like he was getting hit hard, and he was almost like just wobbling all over the place. And then he and you know what I'm saying? Charles Martin almost pulled it off, but he just got caught. He got caught being relaxed, and he went to sleep. You know what I'm saying? I make it akin to this. When I was living in Atlanta, man, I worked at Rent Center, and I learned quickly, like little children don't lie. I mean, they tell lies, but they don't lie. Like, my boss was like 6'7", maybe 500 pounds. We roll up into your house, kids would be like, "Holy shit, you fat." You know what I'm saying? And then at the same time, I used to have long hair, beard, and they'll say some crazy shit like, "I'll ring your doorbell in the projects," and they be like, "Ma, Osama bin Laden at the door." You know what I'm saying? Because they seeing that shit, they don't lie. So I say that to say this: when Ortiz's little daughter was crying, she wasn't crying because, you know what I'm saying, he was getting hit. She was crying like, "This dude sucks." You know what I'm saying? Daddy getting beat up like I never seen him get beat up before. So he need to take that and be like, "Look, man, I need to be done." You know what I'm saying? But the word is now that like Fury might take him on instead of White. If White loses his arbitration, you know, whatever he's doing right now, then Fury's like, "Yo, I'll fight you," because he sees that all you got to do is blow on this dude, and as long as you avoid his right hand, you blow on him, it's a wrap. And then, you know what I'm saying, you done knocked out the old boogeyman.
But his left hand.
Oh yeah, with his left hand. Or I think Ortiz, yeah, like Jarod said, he got like one more fight to cash out. He ain't gonna fight no young up and comer. It's gonna be somebody established to make the money and then get out.
But you mentioned you brought up his daughter, Randy, and I don't know if you guys remember the story going into the first Wilder fight.
Yeah,
his daughter has like a unique health situation. I don't know.
She does. I remember she does.
No, I mean, he gets very emotional talking about her. Like that's his heart.
Like, yeah, the kids, she wasn't crying like that in other fights. You know what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is, though, he might be out there because he's got more medical bills to pay, you know? And I feel like now, once you mentioned that really, in my head, my gears started going. I said, "Man, this guy, he might be out there because he has to.
He got to. Yeah, I get it, man. You do everything you can for your children. And for Charles Martin,
go ahead.
He is literally a fighter that's in a rock and a hard place, between a rock and a hard place. He ain't good enough to fight the people that's on top. And he don't want that smoke from the prospects that's coming up behind him.
Oh, he's
Right.
about to be
So
lunch
he
meat.
only got 2 losses now, right? But he
No, he has a few more losses than that. I mean, he just has 2 notable losses.
no, his record was 28-2. So it's 28-3 now. So he lost 3
Yeah.
fights.
Well, he don't have to worry about the smoke from the prospects because as long as, you know, the PBC guys have that wall up with that moat, with the fire-breathing dragon guarding the door, man.
I don't think he's one of those protected, bro. I don't think he's protected like that. So
I mean, he's not. I mean, he's ranked now in the IBF, I believe, is what this is. I see Hergrovich is up there at 3. Martin was at 2. Luis Ortiz, who was at 10, somehow got a shot at Charles Martin. You know, go figure, right? So there's nobody. I mean, you got Gassiev, who I guess has moved up from cruiser, and you've got, well, there's Anthony Joshua, who needs a tune-up fight if he doesn't take the
I don't think he's tuning up. I think he's going straight to Usyk.
Well, then he got nobody to worry about. There's nobody in this IBF ranking. If that's what we're talking about here, the IBF, there's nobody in this ranking that gives anybody the heebie-jeebies. Maybe Tony Yoka, right? Tony Yoka is a prospect.
Nah. So they're saying that Ortiz is gonna have to fight the Victor. Not Victor. What's the dude name?
Hargovich, right?
Yeah, the Harkovich guy for the
guy.
title eliminator.
Right, but if he's not going to fight Hergrovich, if he declines the
Hergrovich,
eliminator, then it's the next person up, right?
Yeah, the next person up, I don't know who that is.
I mean, the next person up for Hergrovich, right? I don't know. I'm looking at these rankings now. They ain't nobody. I mean, Gassiev is the big name that I can think of. But again, coming up from cruiser, he's technically I got to admit, I have not watched a lot of these guys, but I have seen Gassiev, Usyk, and
with that said, let's go a little bit younger. That's my bulldog. Chill out, Aggie. Shout out to A&T. Right, so we have a little bit of a younger fighter in Frank Sanchez, who is a Cuban amateur standout, who is undefeated, 29 years old with 13 knockouts. He is somebody who, if you watch him fight from a skill level, is probably one of the more skilled heavyweights that we have out there. Has very good footwork, classic Cuban hit and don't get hit fighting style. He made a little bit of a name for himself because he beat F.A. Jagbe in a unanimous decision. That was on the undercard of the, what fight was that? Was that
Fury Wilder?
Fight? Yeah, the Fury Wilder fight.
Fury Wilder 3.
Yeah, Fury Wilder 3. I thought it was a bit of a snoozer of a fight. He fought Christian Hammer on a 4-day notice. His previous opponent, I believe, tested positive and had to go into the COVID protocol. I thought it was a big deal. He's somebody who is tied in with the Reynoso camp, even to the effect where Canelo and his pajamas showed up, and all his glory at a fight that was, to say that it undersold is a strong understatement. And this was a pay-per-view fight. That was a miscalculation. So PBC's they're gonna probably try to write this off somehow. So I know Al Heyman, he's a smart guy, so he'll figure this out. But I thought that Mr. Sanchez missed an opportunity to make a statement, even though not many people were watching. But Bosston Jarod, like, what are your thoughts on Frankie Sanchez, who's somebody that is from the Canelo camp, and they're trying to make a name for themselves? This fight didn't help, in my opinion.
No, you find this with a lot of the Cuban fighters, man, and I don't know if that amateur system, that amateur style, that mentality is like ingrained. It's like part of their DNA. And they're very, very hard pressed to get those guys to take chances. A lot of them are natural counter punches with a few exceptions. If you don't press them, it will become a staring competition. You would see it with Lara. You would see it with Rigo. You see it with Ulga. Even going back to guys like Joel Casamayor. Those guys, if you sit there and you try to play chess with them, it turns to a staring competition real quick, man. You really got to be leery as a matchmaker and as a promoter. You got a guy like Frank Sanchez, you've got to be leery about who you put him in there with, because after a performance like this, it's very, very easy for the top guys in the division to be like, "What? I'm not." Versus after the Efe Ajagbe performance, he's at his peak now. That's when it's the time to strike while the iron's hot, so to speak, and try to get him that big time fight. Because like you said, that performance, that's not going to do anything for him. That just throws him in that boring. He's a boring Cuban, which we all know is code for other things, but it gives other guys a reason not to fight him. Stylistically speaking, with the exception of Fury, who is just way bigger than everybody, also skilled, but comes into the ring with a 70-pound, 50-pound weight advantage. I like Sanchez. I'm clearing my schedule to watch Sanchez Usyk. That's me, the hardcore fan. I would love to see that. I would love to see Sanchez Joshua. I would love to see Sanchez Andy Ruiz. I would like to see all those fights. Those fights are compelling fights for me. I don't know who wins those fights, but that's part of the reason why I think it's compelling. So
absolutely. I mean, Sanchez Usyk, it was off my radar, but that would be high speed chess at one of the highest levels, and then at one of the highest weights that it could be at that speed. I mean, that would be pretty intense. Wow. Like I would, but the casual ran, what are your thoughts? Actually, so I was actually up in DC for the New Year's. I actually watched the fight, took in the fights with the casual ran, and at the time, our significant other, it was funny. Mom from about the country, and she would talk to her sister, and they were like, "Are they mad at each other?" But it's like, nah, this is how we talk about boxing and stuff like that. So go ahead, the casual man. What are your thoughts on Frankie Sanchez Snoozer?
Heard something, a commentator say something, I think after the fight. They were saying that they picked Hammer specifically because he has a hard head. And they knew that Sanchez wasn't just gonna put him out of there. So they wanted somebody that he can beat, but somebody that was gonna give him rounds. So if that was the intention, then I think they did everything that they intended to do. It wasn't good for us, the fan, to watch, but I think that, Sanchez benefited by going the rounds in a fight versus just sparring those fights, or just picking up somebody and then knocking them out within 3 rounds. I think he benefited more by fighting Hammer and taking him to the distance than fighting some other bum. But as for PBC putting on this fight, Cameron, like I mentioned before, I mean, they're scheduled to put on so many fights a year, per year, they're contracted to do it. And if they don't have the fights, then, this is what you get. But I was actually pleased with this card. I mean, it's hard to swallow saying pay-per-view. Yes, it's hard to swallow. But being a heavyweight, showcase, these are your heavyweights, and see where they're at, then I'm actually okay with it.
I think you're being nice, and everybody keep using my government. Y'all know I got warrants and stuff, so it's Nims. So, but I will say, we're not only kind of competing against boxing itself, but they're competing against UFC and the type of events that they put on. So we do have to put it within the within that context. So and that is a competition. When people say that, oh man, boxing ain't doing and all that, they're looking at shows like this, particularly if you're gonna tell me I have to pay to see this. But Coach Dave, bring it home for us.
Yeah, man. Well, let me say the thing that I did like about the fight. Well, first of all, no, I think Randy was spot on about the selection of the opponent. Whoever did the matchmaking or got that opponent picked the right one so we could get those rounds in. I think Sanchez, honestly, what I didn't do, so I did see the fight, but I wish I didn't go back. And if I know we're going to talk about it, I normally would go back and take a look at the compu box and the numbers, right? I thought Sanchez was throwing a lot of punches. Now, yeah, he had old hard-headed bum, but I thought he was throwing a lot of hard shots too. You know, I thought his punch output was up there for a heavyweight. I just kind of got to go and look at it and really see the numbers. But I think it would be a great fight with any of the ones that you name. Usyk, I think Usyk beats him. Joshua, to be honest with you, Joshua should beat him, but you just don't know. You just with Joshua now, hey, you just don't know. So I thought my man he's worth one of those fights. How he does in them, I don't know, but I don't think he beats Usyk.
I did pull up the compu box. One thing Hammer set tied a record for fewest punches landed in a 10-round fight. So
wow.
So his defense was on point, but so final punch stats, Sanchez landed 87 out of 300.
Did he throw over? Okay. Well, because I was going to say, did he throw over like 450 punches? That's what I was going to say.
Well, it says, total was 300, I believe, 326, 181 jabs, and 145 power punches. He landed close. But Hammer threw 180 punches, and landed 24 over. So he landed less than 3 punches around.
So give me that power punch number again of Sanchez. Here's what I'm talking about.
So Sanchez was 70 of 145. So 48%.
So 300 punches overall, 145, damn near half power punches. So that's why it made me look like, man, this dude is throwing hard. So he
was doing some good body work. He had some good things in there, right? So when you see him fight, you have to be impressed with his footwork, his combinations, his technique. I mean, he's really kind of textbook, and the things that he do. I thought a couple of times he could have stood his ground a little bit more. But when you are when it's still that Jarod, Bosston Jarod had a really good kind of synopsis on it when he kind of talked about it. Just kind of conditioned as part of their DNA, so they don't even really have to kind of think about it, right? It's that muscle memory. So they're not gonna take a punch, right? They're gonna get out the way, and they're not thinking about anything else. They're just like, hey, I didn't take any punishment. And particularly if you are used to fighting in a tournament, and that's a little bit like you have to fight and then get ready to fight again, and then you might fight 3 or 4 times within the weekend. So you don't really want to take that kind of punishment in there. But this thing about all right. So but go ahead, Coach Dave. Yeah, go ahead and wrap us up.
Joshua, I think he has a puncher's chance, and well, more so than a puncher's chance, and a semi-skilled chance of beating someone like Joshua. Because with Joshua, right now, to be honest with you, hey, 50-50 chance on this guy, man.
So Dave, what would you rank him with the current prospects with like the Jared Anderson and then the Philip Jared, say his name, Hargovic.
You got Hargovic, and you've got Anderson, and you've got who's the other kid that's out there. Is Tony Yoka?
Well,
Tony
then,
Yoka
and then, and listen, don't forget about overseas.
Daniel Dubois too. Yeah, Daniel
Yeah,
Dubois.
we got, and then the guy who stopped him, Joe Joyce, right? Joe Joyce, like, yeah, that guy stopped him. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know what I'm saying. I just wanted to like see how the prospects stacked up, because we're grabbing one prospect in Sanchez and then putting them against the heavy, you know what I'm saying, the Bulldogs. So I want to see how they go against each other. You know what I'm saying? And this next waves of heavyweights, see where they stack up against each other.
Well, Sanchez is on that typical, when you got these Eastern Euros and these Cubans that have all the amateur experience, they normally get fast tracked. So I don't know if this guy's his career trajectory, despite
they're gonna have to fast track him. For one thing, they say he's 29, right? He's probably 4 or 5 years older than that, and all that. So he's when they have so much,
he's definitely
exactly. And then when they have so much amateur experience, they can they are used to fighting in front of big crowds, and right, so they can really
but at the same time, like I said, so Hargoldic is going to be the IBF IBF mandatory. So to get the IBF belt, you're going to have to go through him. So
yeah, but Frank Sanchez is not ranked in the IBF. If you're looking at the rankings here, Frank Sanchez is 5th in the WBO, and he is 5th in the WBC. And in the WBC, you've got Joseph Parker, who's ahead of him. You've got Andy Ruiz. You've got Joe Joyce. You got Deontay Wilder. And given the promotional alignments of all those guys, the fight that is most makeable is the Andy Ruiz fight. Now, if you're playing chess and you're projecting out and you're bringing Deontay Wilder back in the spring, you save Andy Ruiz for Wilder in the spring. Joe Joyce, Go ahead.
I mean, if he fights, you definitely make that fight. But go ahead, Coach.
So but the question that Randy asked was how do I rank him in terms of those up and coming? So I wouldn't even put. That's the question that Randy had asked. So I wouldn't even put him in this conversation, Reese and all that shit, man. I would say Anderton, her Grasso guy, then maybe the Dubois guy, Joe Joyce, and then Sanchez. So
very last.
Yeah, I would put him last in terms of the question that Randy had originally asked.
I would put him.
I'm excited, man. By you saying that's exciting. That shows that you know what I'm saying, the up and coming heavyweights are you know what I'm saying.
That kid Anderson can fight. That kid Anderson is Jarod Anderson can fight.
Jarod, that's my guy. But then the other guy, the Russian named Hargovich. He's supposed to be the boogeyman at heavyweight. So those two right there.
Fights now. I know people have been saying that now because Luis Ortiz ducked him. But
you know what I'm saying? If you watch them fight, he's smooth. I like a smooth fighter that can move and hit. In heavyweight, at heavyweight, everybody can hit hard. Yeah, but can you move and hit hard? That's what I look at.
He's probably another one of these Eastern Euro dudes with a 500 amateur fight. So it wouldn't surprise me. I just don't know a lot about him. So you could be right, Randy.
So I'm excited, man. If you got more than 3 or 4 up and coming heavyweights, man, we haven't had that in a couple years.
And at this point, right, we need to make the best fights possible. And I want to bring it back to a point that the casual Rand had said, is that I think that I, don't want to be hypocritical in some of the things and talking about watch the Martin and Ortiz fighting being cringeworthy, because it had its dull moments, but there was some excitement that was just kind of a part of it, or maybe not. There was this drama that was there that was at the fight, right? And then that's what we really want to see when we kind of think about sports. That's for men, like that's our drama. Those are the kind of, that is our soap opera. We get to kind of see this real live drama go on, and then with us, because we don't know the results, it makes it that much more authentic. So I think that for its entertainment value, that the Ortiz and Martin fight was something that was good for boxing at this time. But I'm thinking about health and other things. I think that Martin and Luis Ortiz probably should look within and make some hard decisions about their career. With that said, we have received some other news that is going to kind of help us shake out the heavyweight landscape right at this time. So what we no longer have this kind of three-headed monster, which was the Wilder Joshua Fury take. To me, I think Fury does sit at the top, which kind of contradicts my earlier statement. But we still have some marquee matchups that we are looking to see at this point. So Usyk is very viable at this point. I think Tyson is definitely open to that fight. I don't know how enthusiastic he is about the fight. There is also Dillian White, who I think maybe overplayed his hand and tried to kind of push for a mandatory and left itself with a 20% cut of a purse, and Tyson Fury with 80%, and he's pretty much left to take that. And then we also have some mandatories that are kind of hidden the fan, so to speak. But to kind of help us clear up the picture, let's go back to the casual rant at this point. So in thinking about let's talk about people who hold belts, right? So right now, Tyson Fury and Usyk are belt holders. What do you see these kind of next moves for these fighters?
Well, it depends on Fury wants to let go of the WBC because of the white drama or not. So Usyk, he's sitting comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's all about Anthony Joshua with him. You know what I'm saying? If Anthony Joshua wants to take his the rematch clause, that's who he's going to fight. If he want to step aside and let Usyk fight Fury, then Usyk, man, like as time goes on, I am more of a fan for Usyk, man. This dude doesn't dodge anybody. You know what I'm saying? Whoever's in front of him, he steps up to. I don't think he's going to beat Fury, but I'm just saying that whoever comes up in front of him, he's going to fight. So the heavyweight landscape, the three things is going to happen to me. The Anthony Joshua step aside, which I don't think he's going to do, even though I think he should do it. And then Usyk beats Joshua for a second time. Joshua pretty much done. Fury either keeps the WBC and then figure out what the Dillian White situation is going to be, and he'll fight White if he's mandatory, or if not, he'll fight King Kong. Or he lets go the WBC belt, and then I think that's when Wilder comes back into play, when Wilder fights White for the WBC. I think that's the heavyweight landscape as it is right now for 2022. Not bringing in those up and comers. I think the people the established fighters, that's what they're looking at right now.
Sorry about that, Coach Dave. So, do you agree with the casual rants take?
I honestly do, man. I like real talk. The only thing that I would add in there, and I mentioned the guy's name the last time we talked about the heavyweights. The only thing that I would add to amplify or bolster, I think what Randy said, is that I just still don't think that we should count out Ruiz yet. And I haven't followed up with him and seen what's going on in his personal life. Is he out there still eating donuts and biscuits, or is he still getting lean and cut and doing that stuff hard in that Canelo camp as he is? So Yeah, no, man. I mean, I really, and I'm thinking hard, man. I just can't see any other take other than what Randy just said, man. And how to factor in Ruiz, to be honest with you, I'm not even sure. Like, I got to follow back up and see what they've been talking about. I thought somebody was mentioning or considering taking him with all this other mess that's going on that Randy mentioned. I might have read it somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I mean, well, there was a Wilder Ruiz fight that would that they were kind of talking about in the spring. There was some talk around that, and a lot of, and that's just the fight that, as a fan, your eyes kind of widen. You know, as much as I have to say about Wilder, I would really like to see that fight. I think that both of them kind of pose challenges to each other, and it still fits within the landscape of the heavyweight division, meaning that the fighter who wins that fight, like, logically can move on to bigger and better things, right? It's just not a fight for entertainment purposes.
Yeah, and one other point, man, that I want to add, and that I thought was good that he put in. I like the way that he did name the top guys and kind of put them all together, because, to be honest with you, you know, it's just time for them to whoop each other's ass and then get on out the way for this next generation. It's getting time. So I thought Randy's analysis of it was spot on. I just sort of put the Ruiz factor in there, man. So nothing really to add.
Yeah, absolutely. And he does have a good take. It's funny because to me, it seems that, like, for some reason, like, Anthony Joshua holds a little bit too much power and say within this whole kind of landscape because of that. You know, his opportunity to kind of force some things, kind of like Wilder was able to do when Fury and Joshua were thinking about fighting. But to wrap this up, go ahead, Bosston Jarod.
Yeah, I don't. I haven't been following the White Fury saga much. It sounds like that's a fight that's got to get made. White has bad history with the WBC. Not that Mauricio Sulaiman cares. I mean, but if that fight happens, then I think we see Wilder Ruiz in the spring or the summer. We get Usyk Joshua rematch also sometime this summer. And after all that stuff shakes out, it'll shape the rest of the year. So yeah, I don't have too much more to add on to what has already been said. I think that I would pick Usyk to beat Joshua. And if Usyk beats Joshua, man, that really shakes things up, man, because that isn't financially the fight that everybody wanted. You know, everybody wanted Wilder, Joshua, Fury. Nobody's going to be clamoring for even Fury Usyk, man. Nobody is going to be clamoring for that fight, man, unfortunately. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I think Usyk, yeah, I was always up on Usyk from the cruiserweight days. I knew about him and watched a lot of his amateur fights. I mean, he's fought everybody. I mean, anybody who's been anybody in the amateurs, he's fought, and he's lost to a lot of guys.
Yeah, he lost to Sean Porter actually beat him.
I mean, he lost to Porter, he lost to Matt Korobov, he lost to Beterbiev. And when you've got that, and a lot of people say, oh, it's the amateurs, it's the Amis, it's the Amis. When you're fighting at that world-class level for as long as he's fought at that world-class level, that pedigree means something. That experience, there's nothing this kid hasn't seen. And the only reason I picked against him in the Joshua fight was because I thought he was just giving up too much size. I thought his margin for error was too small, and I didn't think he was defensively dynamic enough to avoid those punches, but he took the punches well. He did enough stuff, changing distance and changing angles, so he was able to take those shots. Anyway.
No, I mean, you're right. I mean, I actually picked Joshua. I think that the old axiom is that a good big man beats a good little man. But I think that when the little man has an opportunity to show that he is maybe great, then that's what it kind of, and maybe we can say he's great. He hasn't lost a fight. He had a dominant reign, so he has opportunity to prove that he is one of the greats. But I think that was a very, very good kind of setup for our next segment, because you talked about the pedigree and being and how this competition and what's the old saying, like iron sharpen iron, steel sharpen steel, in a sense, because we're going to talk about North Carolina boxing and how I've been highly critical of it at times. So I actually, my first amateur fight was in North Carolina, but I actually didn't have any of my tournaments. I didn't start competing until I was in Georgia. And Georgia has I think a little bit more of a better competition. There are some fighters that we haven't had some champions in a while in there, but there is some history there. But lately, most recently, I should say, we had Michael Williams Jr., who had opportunity, who was an undefeated fighter. Was it welterweight or super junior middle, around that weight class, I believe.
Out of Georgia or out of North Carolina?
Out of North Carolina. I'm sorry. Did I say Georgia? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so out of North Carolina, I was speaking about my time at Georgia. So that's where I competed during my Golden Glove tournaments. You know, so I'm repping the Bulldog. But and speaking about North Carolina, which is really like actually my second home, we have a lot of representatives. My brother fought here. Dave, coach here. He has a boxing promotion that started here, but it's done work all along the East Coast. But I've always had my views on that. The issue with North Carolina boxers is that there is not this high level of competition that is here that allows you to kind of build up. So I tell people that if you do want to, so somebody asked me like, man, I'm thinking about going pro, you know, like, what do you think I should do? I said that they should leave here. I said, you need to go to Southern California in that Chino area, or like to Vegas, or into the Philadelphia, that kind of New York, New Jersey, Philly kind of area with the, you know, that's really close to the, yeah, exactly. That's good, because those are where you can see if you can step up, because I've seen a lot of our fighters who are undefeated here have a nice, pretty record. They go to Vegas, they go somewhere else, and they get embarrassed. But I mean, Coach Dave, we'll go ahead and let you kind of jump in on this segment.
Well, man, I'm gonna give it to you straight, no chaser, man. Everything I agree with everything that you said, man. And so, look, I'm gonna be real with you, man. Just let me roll real quick. So, and I'm gonna break it down to you quick 3 segments. I'm gonna talk to you about the fighters. I'm gonna give you just a little bit of history real quick. Then I'm gonna tell you what I think, in my opinion, is the fix. So, in a nutshell, regarding the fighters, man, look, man, it is time for North Carolina boxing to come out of the swamps of mediocrity and into an oasis that's filled with world champions. Now, I think we do have some solid, good fighters that's out there. In my mind right now, man, I can think of like 4 of them that's out there, right? The fighters have had opportunities, but have not performed, as Cameron said. Oprah Winfrey says there's no such thing as luck, but preparation and opportunity. And what's been the problem is that when we've gotten opportunities, bottom line is we've not been prepared for it. And these big promotion companies out there, they know that you can come to North Carolina and get yourself a decent B-side fighter based off of the opponents that they've had that could, you know, be a pretty good opponent that can guarantee a win for your up-and-coming prospect if you're promoting this guy. Because let me give you some examples, you know, beyond kind of the one that Cameron just mentioned, man. And hear me out, man. I take y'all way back to 2014. Jamar Freeman, he got a chance to fight J-Rock. He got a chance to fight J-Rock for the WBC Continental Belt. This is in 2014, okay? He got TKO'd. I think, in the 8th round. 2015, the same fighter, Jamar Freeman, he fought Caleb Plant when he was 9-0, lost by unanimous decision. We had a great fighter down here, a pretty decent fighter in 2016. His name was Antoine Austin. He got a shot on a Golden Boy card. He fought a 2-0 opponent. And I think Antoine at the time was like 9-5. Golden Boy, he got knocked out the ring first round. My frat brother, a guy named Lamar Rush. You guys might have seen him when you watched that episode on The Contender. Lamar Rush from Fayetteville, he's my frat, love him to death, had an opportunity. You had Andre Ward, who Nassim, the trainer, you had Freddie Roach, you had the other trainer, you had a shot to really, really shine, you know what I'm saying? And you saw what happened in the bout that he had. In 2019, we had another fighter named Joel Carter. You know, he was fighting on the top rank. You know, Joel at the time was like 8-2 with 2 draws. He fought this Cassius Chaney, who was 7-0. This is the guy that got TKO, slid out the ring. I believe it was like the first round. And then, you know, the fighter that left Hit Hard Boxing, you got in 2019, Dwayne Beeman. He had a shot at the WBC world title. He fought Juan Estrada. And what? TKO 9th round. He was not under Hit Hard Boxing at the time. And if he was under Hit Hard Boxing, I honestly think we could have stopped this guy. And then the last one that Cam just mentioned, in 2019, you saw Michael Williams Jr. fighting John Bowser. They got the TKO, I think it was fourth round. I think it was 4th round. Don't quote me on that one though. But again, that was at the top rank. So
and
that's
MSG. That was on the top ranked fight, and that was on the Lomachenko break.
Yeah,
that was on that.
So they had these opportunities to shine. Now here's the situation. Here's what I think. I think the selection of opponents. You go back and I looked at all these guys' records. You can't keep fighting cats that's 3-33 and you know 14-14. You can't keep doing it. But even beyond that, it is about, man, you got to get that sparring. That stuff that you need to work on should happen in the ring. Now, North Carolina boxing, man, we have enough fighters to where as much sparring as you can get with these strong, decent fighters in North Carolina, you need to have that to happen, man. It's not like up north. I was in the gym up in DC. When I'm at Headbangers Gym, it was 4 or 5 different guys, even on the amateur levels, that could give each other that work. North Carolina gyms are filled with, you might got one guy that's in there that's a top dog, and then there's nobody else in that gym that can really touch him. And you find these guys sitting around here sparring with guys that really ain't gonna help you move.
Exactly. And you just building up false confidence. So in Georgia, there used to be and there you probably know what I'm talking about, almost this round robin kind of sparring session that all of the, like, you would kind of like go there and then you would able just to be able to kind of like get some good work from there, but it would be top fighters in there. And I remember our coach, you know, kind of took us there, and then because we had opportunity to kind of see who were the top fighters outside the other gyms and doing that, but it gave us a realistic idea of where we kind of set within the landscape within the state, because right, we were just competing at the state level. Once you win state, you can go to regionals. But I think that there is a lack of an infrastructure that's kind of hurting NC boxing at this time, and you know, just a lack of a lot of good competition. But so I know that, yeah, and then we worked here. I've been a cut man. This my brother, and the Casual Rand has done some work, so, and has seen a lot of fights in here. So what are your views on just North Carolina boxing scene at this time?
I think Dave hit it on the head, man. It's just like you said, iron sharpen iron. And if you like the top dog in your camp, and you know what I'm saying, you beating up on the rest of these low budget guys, when you go out of state or regional, you getting waxed. I mean, and then one thing I really hate is like when you watching these guys, you know what I'm saying, they 3-0, 4-0, 5-0 with the when they come out with the the garb, you know what I'm saying? Like they spent like $1,000 on their trunks and shoes and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? Like I got my own shoe line and you like 10-0 and you fought bums. I'm saying like, man, you're not paying attention to your craft. You know what I'm saying? You want the Mayweather shine, but you don't want to put in the Mayweather work. You know what I'm saying? You looking at Money Mayweather and not pretty, you know what I'm saying? And not Pretty Boy Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of things that when I look at North Carolina boxing, that's what I see. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of the old school Mike Tyson. Like when I see a boxer come in, I want to see just like a towel, a cut towel, and then you know what I'm saying, some low cut, no socks, and some skip boots. You know what I'm saying, and going in there to fight versus. You know what I'm saying? You spent $1,000. You going into a fight and you only like 10. You got 10 fights, but you got $1,000 garment on, bruh. You only getting paid what $200-300 for this fight. You know, I just don't understand what your mindset is. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you really want to make it as a professional fighter. I think you just like the fame, more like you know what I'm saying, like. It
is, yeah. I mean, it's hard, and it's part of this, you know, this culture right now where you can, you know, Ryan Garcia is a perfect example. Is that he was somebody who was able to achieve a modicum of success, but he's really been able to develop a following that really doesn't kind of match the work that he's done within the ring so far.
Yeah, but I mean, that's strictly off of looks, you know what I'm saying? That's like so De La Hoya was like the exception. De La Hoya was a pretty guy that could fight, you know what I'm saying? He really
De La Hoya had a gold medal too. That's a little bit.
And he would fight anybody. I think somebody would like really like he was pretty like he fought Ike Corte and he took some fights and I used to give him credit. He would fight. I would give him some credit. He would fight in there.
That's what I'm saying. He could fight, but I think Ryan Garcia just trying to say I'm a pretty guy that can throw my hands. So he's just taking the easy route to De La Hoya or Mayweather because he looks good. You know what I'm saying? That's different.
So what's the solution to that? Because this is interesting. You bring this up because I've heard old interviews from Pernell Whitaker and Ronnie Shields, who worked with Pernell Whitaker and who came from the Hampton Roads area, not traditionally a boxing hotbed.
Yeah, VA.
Fast forward 2021, 22, another young kid, Keyshawn Davis, who is from the Hampton Roads area. He's been interviewed, and I've heard him very, very specifically address this issue of there's no work down here. What do you do? Well, Keyshawn Davis, so we got to get on the road. He's up here sparring with Jalil Hackett and Trayvon Marshall over there with Coach Counselor. But Keyshawn Davis is high-level national team guy. Pernell Whitaker back then was high-level national team guy. So my question for Dave, or whoever you guys, how do you overcome that when you're not this high-level guy and you can't necessarily get on the road and come to DC, go to Southern California, go to Philly?
Yeah, let me take that in regard to just bringing it back to North Carolina boxing. So one of the main solutions is going to be this here, man. Let me tell you something. You can't be stingy and selfish with your fighter. You got to be willing to let other coaches, you got to use your network. You got to be willing to let other coaches touch your fighters, and you got to pull on the collective resources of that you have in that city, in that state that you're in. Yeah, there might come times where your fighters gonna have to fight each other, but you got to pull on that stuff. Prime example. I mean, if coaches were open and willingness, I mean, I'm in a gym where there's world champions at. I'm in a gym where Sean Porter is coming to train, where the Fox brothers are coming to train. Javante Davis is in that thing. Adrian Broner came through this camp. So I'm saying that's a resource. And I think collectively throughout North Carolina, among the coaches, we have enough resources as to where if we don't think that we are the only ones, that can do something with our fighters. And it's that level of trust. I'm not worried about any other person touching my fight a little bit, because I'm gonna trust and have that relationship with my fighter. So number one, pulling on those resources, you know what I'm saying, that we have, that would fix so much. And then you can travel within your state. You might can't go to North, but there are enough fighters within North Carolina that, you know, if we travel 2 hours here one weekend, we travel, 2 hours here another weekend, we travel an hour here weekend, that competitive sparring can get going. But not even just with the sparring. Another way that you fix that stuff is they don't share camps. They don't share camp. If my fighter is going through a camp, if I can get another coach to touch my fighter during that camp, to seriously touch my fighter during that camp, it's just going to make that fighter more greater. I'm an inside coach. I love teaching toe-to-toe banging. You know what I'm saying? I can teach on the outside, I know it, but that ain't my specialty. So I need to use those coaches that I know in North Carolina, you know what I'm saying? Coach Kenny Williams, that they know that outside game. So it's all about resources, man, is where I would use it at, man. That's where I would start at. That's what's going to, I think, help make North Carolina shine.
I think that's a beautiful take. And there is not only about, looking at the resources that you do have around you, but just kind of pulling all your resources, kind of working together and building a network. And it does take a certain amount of trust. Like, we've all worked with different kind of fighters. And if we are really thinking about that fighter and trying to put them in the best position to succeed, then I think that will end up with a good result in there, right? And then so that will force you to kind of take yourself out of it. And as Coach Dave was talking about, trying to not be so selfish in this. And because what that will do will ultimately help develop this community. And if we really want to develop a boxing community within this area. All right, but so we are about at the end. I'm gonna leave open. Does anybody want to give a few different takes? This is our first episode of 2022. We're excited for a lot of different things that we're going to be bringing to you. We have some news about different time changes that we're probably going to move to Friday evening to kind of better accommodate our editor and to kind of get some graphics. And that's going to allow us to actually break up these episodes. We know that this content, while it's very plentiful and pithy, that we know that it's better taken in different chunks. So we will have that. Make sure that you do like and subscribe. Bosston Jarod, Casual Rand, Coach Dave, anything that y'all want to leave the audience with?
I would just say this month is going to be a very special month. This is the month that Gary Russell Jr. gets to come out from Al Heyman's dungeon and fight. This is his annual fight. So everybody, whoever we got out here who's watching us, listening to this, please tune in and watch, because you never know when you're gonna see this cat.
It's
again.
like it's like a comet, right? It's like Gary's comet. So
it's like a blood moon. Yeah,
it's like a sighting. Yeah. It's like, did he really fight? Yeah, it's like
for this nigga to get out and fight, man. But seriously though, he's fighting somebody of zero consequence. The fight that is going to be of consequence here, January 15th, is going to be this Joe Smith, Callum Johnson fight. The winner, I really think, has a legit shot at getting a Canelo Alvarez fight here in the spring. I think Canelo is going to forego a shot at cruiserweight and go for the Joe Smith, Callum Johnson winner. I think that ESPN would love to have a guy like Canelo on their platform. Joe Smith specifically is aligned with Top Rank. And if Joe Smith wins, I think Joe Smith is the favorite. He wins. I think we see Canelo Alvarez, right. Joe Smith in the spring. That's it.
Thanks, you. You found an opponent for Canelo. So that's your wish for 2022 is all right. The Casual Rand.
Oh man, there's so many possibilities for 2022, man. One I want y'all to start thinking about is Teofimo moving up to 140. You know what I'm saying? I honestly think that 135 was a fluke or a bad fight. You know what I'm saying? But I think he has the skill set that at 140, if he's concentrating, he can do some damage. So I'm looking forward to seeing where he brings that 140 this year.
All right, beautiful. And then the philosopher, the man with the holistic take, we're going to end with Coach Dave. Go ahead and take us out.
Hey, well, what I'm going to say is that, look, I hope the greatest fight in 2022 is with you as you look in the mirror and reflection. You have already set your goals. You know, I hope you didn't bring any undealt with, unbattled demons from 2021 into 2022. Whatever it is that you set your heart to, the people that's watching this, you go out there and you whoop ass and you accomplish your goals. So I hope the greatest fights within 2022 is with that reflection in the mirror. Go kick your own ass and achieve what you want to achieve.
All right. Pop talk. Let's get it.